Okay, so you're ready to put out your first Facebook or Instagram ad campaign, and then you realize you're not a graphic designer. Well, don't worry, I'm going to help you out with that. My name's Chris, I'm with Stratford Media, and today I'm going to walk you through designing your first social media ad without the need for design software. We're actually going to walk through step by step using a piece of software that I can almost guarantee is already on your computer. So first, let's take a look at some of the options in case you don't have this mystery piece of software. We've got Canva. Canva is a really easy to use system that's fully web based and costs between $10 and $12 per month, depending on the subscription that you've got. The learning curve is not super steep, and if you've got the time to put in figuring out how to use the system, you can create some really good looking ads. Next is GIMP. GIMP is totally free. It's an open source program that mimics Adobe Photoshop, which is my favorite piece of software to use. We do have copies of GIMP on standby on our backup computer so that we don't have to, hold unnecessary Photoshop licenses. And we have indeed used this in an absolute pinch. And then this is Gravit Designer. This is a very highly rated, well-respected design tool. This is Adobe Photoshop, and this is, again, what I use. A lot of designers will use Illustrator for digital manipulation and then InDesign for print. I actually use Photoshop for both, which I get a lot of complaints about from people in the office, but it's what I do. So are you ready for the big reveal? Drum roll, please. The one piece of software I'm going to use to walk you through creating this, we're just going to grab, an image that you already have, drop a logo on it, maybe put a little bit of text on it, but it's Microsoft PowerPoint. I know, crazy, right? But it's got the drag and drop functionality and the ability to save in JPEG that just works. So if you're in a pinch, or if you just want to use some standard images, you've got some great content, but you want to put your logo on it so that you've got a little bit more brand awareness in your advertising, this is really cool. So let's take a look back at my screen. All right, so here we are in fabulous Microsoft PowerPoint, a tool that you've hopefully used in the past. The first thing we're going to do is select a size, because the standard presentation is really set up for wide computer screens or monitors, because that's typically what you're using this for. We are using this for a Facebook ad, so we're going to have to resize this. So let's think about those sizes. The two most important sizes you need to know when it comes to Facebook ads and Instagram ads are 1200 wide by 628 high. That's usually sponsored newsfeed content. And then there's also the square, which is 1080 pixels by 1080 pixels. Let's start with resizing this bad boy to be sponsored newsfeed content, which is 1200 pixels wide by 628 pixels high. So we're going to go to File, Page Setup, and we'll see, we're talking inches here, not pixels. Well, that's okay. I have done the math for you because I am a nice guy. So that 1200 wide is actually 16 pixels, and the height, which is 628, is going to be 8.3. Let's see if I can do 0.37. You are converting to a larger slide size. Do you want to scale content up? Sure, it doesn't matter because there's nothing in there. If you had a picture already in there, you might end up distorting it, but we have a blank slate here. So here we have our properly sized file. I'm going to drag an image in from the desktop. This is a photograph taken by our resident photographer, Peter Klaproth, and it's of a wave. Now, this panel here is great because when you're working with stuff that's outside of your boundaries, you're not really going to be able to tell what is in the image, but this will help you. So make that a little bigger since it's important. Now I want to get the most of this image. That's great, like that. And then when we customize, it's really as simple as finding a version of your logo that is a PNG, so there's some transparency around it. If you drop in a PNG, you've got the area behind it isn't this weird white square like you would have with a JPEG. And that just gives you a bit more of a professional edge. And the rule for logos is make them as small as you can stand it. The reason being, Facebook is going to penalize you if you've got a lot of text in your image. They used to not even let you upload pictures that had text taking up more than 20%. Now they'll let you do it, but they'll severely penalize your reach. So keep the text to a minimum. But if you absolutely have to use text, go home. Here's our text box, just like we're doing a PowerPoint slide. Hey, this is cool text. Select it, make it bigger, change the color, etc., etc. Okay, so we're not going to use that. So now we've got the basics wave picture. We've got Peter David Photography. That logo is there. We're going to go to File, Export. And here's where we get to choose a file format. We could do a PDF if we wanted to. There's PNG here, which we just mentioned, but JPEG is the standard. We're going to name this file Wave1, and then we're going to save it to the desktop. Okay, and here it is. So that Wave1 on our desktop is ready to be used in Facebook's Ad Manager. Same principle would apply if you were going to do this for Instagram. You'd obviously want to make this a square. So we go to File, Page Setup. The magic inch diameter for square is 14.4. 14.4. Scale it up. Get rid of what's there. And then see there's our nice little square. So here's another beautiful image. Check that out. Now, obviously, we're going to have to do a little cropping here because this is a landscape-oriented image. And, pro tip, when you're working with photographers, they do not like it when you mess with the way they've framed the image, because that is a part of what went into composing the shot as a whole. So whenever you crop an image from a photographer, talk to them about it first. They'll appreciate that. Let's double click this, bring to front. Peter David Photography. Now, look at that. I'm way outside of the bounds here. And I'm looking at my guide here. This is the preview section, and look at that photograph. So that's going to have to be a little smaller. Okay, and then, you want to try the whole watermark look. We go into format settings for pictures, and you can go to picture transparency, and you can mess with that to your heart's content. Look how cool that is. That's super professional. You could even use this if you weren't doing ads. All right. So there we go. The save process, yet again, is export, because when you use the export dialog, it lets you choose the file format. JPEG. We're going to go with square, save to desktop. That's how it's done. It's simple. We even added a logo and a watermark, and we were able to export the resized slideshow as a JPEG. Now, a couple things to remember. The dimensions for your ads are going to be 16 inches by 8.37 inches or 14.4 by 14.4. Another thing to remember is little to no text on your ad images, because the more text you have, the more Facebook is going to penalize you. They don't want a bunch of ads in their news feed that have a ton of text in it. It's busy. It doesn't look good. It's not good for the user experience. So keep that in mind. Now, if your logo doesn't look very texty, like, obviously the WordPress logo is a big W, but if your logo doesn't have a lot of text in it, you can kind of play with that. But that whole 20% thing is also a design standard. So keep that in mind too. That's it for today. So best of luck using PowerPoint to design your ads.